nekoliko riječi. Imamo naš Dinamo. Bravo Dinamo, imamo ga za uvijek. Vi ste najbolji navijači na svijetu, a ovo su najbolji igrači na svijetu. Živjeli!
Good evening and welcome to another edition of the OzCro Soccer Show. My name is Tonchi Prusats, and on that note, we watched the scenes of jubilation, of celebration, of mayhem, of craziness in the heart of Zagreb played on Sunday night as Dinamo Zagreb celebrated yet another HNL Championship title. To help me bring you all the latest of what's happening both here in Australia and abroad with the Croatian football scene. It's a very, very warm welcome from the harbour city, Ante Grabovac. Good evening, Ante. How are you?
Oh, very well, Torchi. And they won the League and Cup double, didn't they? Because they beat the Cup 3-1 as well.
Yeah, and I can see that you've got the appropriate attire. You've got the Zagreb Hurstville attire, although it's not Dinamo, but, you know, I suppose.
Sister club, that's right.
Sister club, yeah. How are you, mate? How's things?
I am very well, thank you, Torchy, and looking forward to another big show. And, yeah, there's been a lot of football. It's been a great week of football. As we were speaking off air, I've been to Wollongong to watch football. I've been to Central Coast to watch football, and been to Adenza Park to watch football, plus all the stuff that's been happening down in Melbourne with all the international visitors and stuff. So, yeah, it's been absolutely massive week.
It has, and to cover it to you. And speaking of massive, actually, tonight's show is going to be massive, and we will be bringing you up to date with all the latest. But gee, have we pulled out all stocks for tonight? We've got two very, very high-profile guests joining us a little bit later on. Ante, tell us all about who is coming on the show tonight.
Yeah, we've got the Melbourne Knights coach and, very highly regarded player as well, Mr. Ivan FRANJIC, joining us. And from Western United, we've got Steven Lustica joining us. And looking forward to chatting to both of those gentlemen tonight.
Yes, Steven Lustica, an old Canberra boy, originally from Canberra, and he's played everywhere, including in Croatia. And he's now based in Melbourne these days, and Ivan FRANJIC as well, who was recently appointed the senior head coach. But Ivan's also the junior technical director there at the Knights. And they've got a massive new project. Apart from what's happening off the field, they've got a lot of work, capital works happening in the pipeline, and we'll find out all about that. But they've also got a juniors tournament that's going to launch in early October, and it's called the Knights Championship Cup, aimed at under 14s to under 18s, NPL standard. So it's going to be very, very top quality standard post-season tournament. And we'll hear all about that from Ivan a little bit later on in the show. But We're going to take a quick break, mate, and when we return, it's time for a jam-packed news desk, and we've got some late breaking news from Croatia as well. Just happened in the last half hour. Stay tuned for that.
Who's to say who's young, who's old? Compared to who? Age is complicated. You see, most people really stop getting older at age 26, but their bodies just don't get the memo. So, hidden inside most over 50-ish-year-olds is the soul and spirit of a 26-year-old with the same loves and desires and hopes and dreams, just in slightly different packaging. Why waste time wondering when you could be enjoying? It's your life, and life is what you make it. So, what are you waiting for?
Ante, over to you, the news desk.
Thank you so much, Taunchy. And we've got a big 10 clubs on the winners list this week. They barely fit on the sheet, let me tell you. They're absolutely massive. What a weekend. Yeah, starting off in Brisbane, 10-1 victory, 5 goals to Machida. Fantastic, and Brisbane are in first place. And the Gold Coast, they were also massive, 5-3 winners. And there was a hat-trick there by Debele, and they're in first place as well. So it's all happening up in Queensland at the moment with the Croatian clubs. Over in Newcastle, another huge victory, 5-2. And very well done to Newcastle. They are on fire, and they're in second spot, but they've got matches in hand. So hopefully they'll take that first spot very soon. At Adenza, I was at this fixture. It was harder than I thought it was going to be, but in the end, and tell me you got the goal, and tell me, of course, Patrick, who was our guest 2 weeks ago now. And, fantastic goal against the Mariners. And we're in sixth spot now, Sydney United. And hopefully they can continue with those victories. South Coast also got a big victory, 90th minute goal via Trebincevic. So that is fantastic. That's their third win of the season. Over in Tassie, Glenorchy got a big 4-0 win with 4 different goal scorers, and they're in first place. Canberra, Croatia got a massive 3-1 win over Ugali. And we've got the Dandenong, thankfully, won 2-0 over Altona. That was a big win, and they're in 7th spot. That was their 5th win of the season. Taunchy, down in your end of the world, North Geelong got their 2nd win of the season. 2 goals by Brimmer and a big 2-0 win over Brunswick City. I'm sure North Geelong have been celebrating just like those scenes we saw over in Zagreb. And Guelph, Croatia, they were big 3-1 winners as well against Rockingham, and they're in 7th place.
Yeah, that's what we want to see, mate. 10 winners, but barely, squeezing onto that winners board. And let's hope that this weekend coming, the same thing is going to be repeated. Speaking of which, Ante, who's at home this weekend?
Yeah, Newcastle, Croatia actually got a match tomorrow night. This weekend they've got a bye, so hopefully they can continue their great form. O'Connor Knights on Saturday afternoon are at home against the Monaro Panthers, 2nd versus 3rd there. So that's a huge match. In South Australia, Adelaide, Croatia are taking on Metro Stars, 5th versus 1st, and that's on Saturday afternoon at the Croatian Sports Centre. North Geelong, let's make it 2 wins in a row, North. Let's go. Currently coming in 14th spot, taking on Langwarrin. That's on Saturday afternoon at Elko Park. Up in the Gold Coast at 5 p.m. kickoff, the home side at Gold Coast Croatia Sports Centre taking on Gold Coast United.
The derby.
The big derby in Victoria, Dandenong versus St Albans. Get on down to Frank Holohan Reserve, 5 p.m. kickoff there on Saturday afternoon. And in the Illawarra, South Coast, come on, let's continue that good form. Currently in 9th spot, they're taking on who Sydney United took on last Wednesday night, Wollongong, Macedonia, and that's at Ian McLennan Park at 7 p.m.
The Battle of the Uniteds, and playing away.
Away, yes, there are quite a few important away fixtures. The Knights are away to Avondale this weekend on Saturday afternoon. Western Knights are away to Perth Glory on Saturday afternoon as well. Guelph are away to Mandurah. Brisbane are away to Newmarket. Glenorchy are away to Launceston. Hersel Zagreb are away to Fraser Park. Look at that. Fraser Park are 13th in NPL 2, and they actually applied for the B League. Can you believe that? That's Saturday night fixture at Fraser Park. Sydney United are away on Sunday afternoon at Albert Butler to Wollongong Wolves. That's always a big match. And Canberra, Croatia are fifth, playing against Gungahlin this weekend on Sunday afternoon as well. So,
Hunter, the big question is, which games are you going to be going to this weekend?
I think I need a break.
A few more away trips, like that Wollongong one's looking not bad.
Yeah, possibly. There's been a bit of talk about that, but I'll see how I measure up. I think I've got to rest after this last week, let me tell you.
What about Fraser Park? That's a bit of an away trip for Hurstville Zagreb.
Yeah, definitely. That's against the Portuguese Fraser Park. That's always an interesting match. Over in the Australia Cup this past week, last Tuesday night, we crossed live over to the St Albans match, and they ended up hanging on for that 1-0 victory over Green Gully, so they still stay alive. Well done, St Albans. The O'Connor Knights on that same night defeated Gungahlin by 3-1. And as mentioned a couple of times already on Wednesday night, I ventured to Wollongong, saw a few great faces from the South Coast, and as well as a lot of people who drove down from Sydney to watch that 4-2 win over Wollongong United. 2 to our man, Patrick Antelmi, 1 to Hatch and 1 to De Oliveira. A fantastic free kick. If you haven't seen it, it's posted up on our Facebook site on the OzCro site. And yeah, some big matches coming up. Taunchy, tonight, Sydney Olympic are playing Spirit, and whoever wins that match will takes on Sydney United. At the moment, Sydney Olympic are winning 1-0, so more than likely Sydney United will be heading to Belmore for their next fixture. But tonight we've got the Western Knights away to Olympic Kingsway, and they're coming first in the WA NPL. On Saturday afternoon, the 8th of June, so that's not this weekend, but the following weekend, Newcastle, Croatia are away to Lambton Jaffers. Now, Lambton are 2 divisions above Newcastle, so it's going, and Lambton are coming first as well. So it's going to be a big effort for Joshua Popescu, of course, who we had a few weeks ago on the show, and his team. But fingers crossed, you never know. I'm sure Joshua's doing his homework right now. On Saturday, the 8th of June at Deakin, this is also the ACT Cup final. O'Connor Knights are taking on Monaro Panthers, and those two teams are playing this weekend. So they're going to be playing 2 weekends in a row, one in the league and one in the cup. So, yeah, let's hope O'Connor can get both of those. Of course, we mentioned O'Connor past 12 months, sorry, not 24 months, but past 12 months undefeated. And then on Monday, 10th of June, Glenorchy Knights are taking on Kingsborough Lions in the Yakoselets Cup final, and so and that also is the qualifier for the round of 32 for the Australia Cup. And St Albans are still waiting on their opponent. So yeah, lots of Australia Cup action and 6 clubs still alive, which is fantastic.
Yeah, a lot happening there. Some mouth-watering Australia Cup ties coming up as well.
And Taunchy, do you know what Ep8 is talking about? Can we give Bears a mention?
Gorse Bears, yes. Can the Bears get a mention in the Across the Ground segment? Yes, Ivica Petrolic, who's heavily involved with the Gorse Bears. I'm not too sure. My apologies. They're playing in the Metropolitan League. I don't know too much how they're going. I think they're going not too bad. They're in the same division as St Albans Vukovar, another club that's aligned with St Albans Dynamo in the as part of the Dynamo group as well. So a big shout out to the Bears. Bears have been huge supporters of the OzCro Soccer Show over the last few years. So a big shout out to Ivica and to everyone associated with the Gorse Bears.
All the Lichani, right?
Yeah, and the Lichani and the wannabe Lichani. You know, there's a lot of those around. You know, Lichani, fantastic people, absolutely great part of Croatia. We're going to take a very, very short break. When we return, we're going to turn our focus. We're going to focus our attention on what is happening in Croatia, and there is some big news happening. Some massive news has just happened in the last hour. So we'll announce what's going on in Croatia. Don't go away, folks. It is the OzCro Soccer Show.
EcoDuct is a Geelong-based business which manufactures an environmentally friendly low-profile duct system that is specifically designed for high-rise apartment applications where limited ceiling spaces are common. The innovative duct system is used to exhaust kitchen and bathroom ventilation where there are limited ceiling spaces. The only Australian-made PVC duct supplier in the country, EcoDuct, has full control over its stock and has an unlimited supply to ensure all projects run smoothly. They are 30% cheaper than the imported products and are 100% Australian made. Made from best environmental practices, their products are made of up to 50% recycled material and is 100% recyclable and compliant to all Australian standards. For more information, call EcoDuct now on 03 5278 5573. That's 03 5278 5573, or visit their website at ecoduct.com.au. EcoDuct are proud sponsors of the North Geelong Warriors Football Club.
Welcome back to the OzCro Soccer Show. We turn our attention now to Croatia. There's a lot happening, so folks, brace yourself for a lot of news. But we start off with some breaking news, Ante. In the last hour or so, it's been reported in the Croatian press that NK Osijek's football director, the sports director, the Portuguese Jose Bota, his car was overnight vandalised by gunshots. Actually, seven bullets actually penetrated his bonnet. So someone obviously doesn't like what Bota is doing in Osijek. For those that don't know, Zekic, the coach, was basically before the final match of the season. He was given the flick, and he's brought in another Portuguese fellow who heads the academy. So it's becoming a real foreigners club, I guess. There's talk, who knows who the new coach will be. There's talk some Italian, so a 39-year-old Italian who's an up-and-coming young coach, that he may be appointed. So there's all sorts of rumours and going on there. But I know what's happening in Croatian football. Sometimes there's some fantastic things happening, but every time something really good happens, like in Osijek, fantastic new stadium. They did really, really well this year, and things start to self-destruct, I think, unfortunately. Šibenik, likewise, in about the last hour and a half, announced plans to construct a brand new 8,000-seater stadium, which is going to cost approximately €50 million. And the time frame they're saying is, and I guess a lot of it is dependent on Šibenik getting promoted to the next year's HNL. And that all comes down to Sunday's big do-or-die game when they take on Zrinski Jurjevac in Osijek at the Gradski Stadion there. It is the final round of the Prva Liga, the second-tier competition. Whoever wins that basically will get promoted. So it's the first time Šibenik, I think, in 3 attempts or 2 other attempts, they've always won it either via bureaucracy, or they found out the day after they actually played their final game. This is the first time that they're actually going to, their supporters will actually find out there and then if they get through. So in effect, and if we put up we'll start off in a little bit of a kind of a reverse order. We'll talk about the Druga Liga and the Prva Liga, and then we'll talk about the HNL. But the Prva Liga, Zrinski currently lead by 2 points with that last game to be played. And I think it's 1:30 a.m. Monday morning our time. And the equation is simple. Zrinski win or draw, they're through to next year's HNL, the Elite Premier League. Šibenik need a win. Simply nothing else, nothing less. They need a win. Down the other end of the competition standings, Solin are definitely out, so they're relegated. And then BSK from the outskirts of Osijek, they are currently in second last position, and they will then go into a playoff against the second place team in the Druga Liga, which at the moment is Kustošija. It will be obviously between them and the Radni Križevci. Radni Križevci, up until about 2 weeks ago, looked like they might even be fighting for top spot. But Opatija now will be returning back to the second-tier competition next year. That's the minor leagues, if you like, in Croatia. So it's come down to the last day. They're expecting anywhere between 2,000 and 5,000 Šibenik supporters to travel up to Osijek. Problem is, Zrinski doesn't have too many supporters. So they might have a couple of hundred supporters. Remember,
it's a home match for Šibenik. And yes, Tony Chabot, I'll give them a kiss of life, not the kiss of death. Jeez, let me tell you. Okay, Shibney. And why stop at 8,000? I mean, seriously, just making a nice round 10,000. Why are you only making 8,000 capacity stadium? I don't get it.
How they come down? They come down to these figures of 8,000. That's exactly right. But maybe they're probably going on average crowds or something like that. But look, for Šibenik, I suppose if they did have an 8,000 seater stadium, it's what they need. They don't need anything more than that.
A fifth of the city. That's right.
Yeah. Now, HNL, well, it was all over. We knew well in advance who'd won. Dinamo won. Rijeka finished second. Hajduk finished third. Now, Rijeka and Hajduk will be off to play in the cup competitions for the European Conference League, or whatever it's all called, the Conference Cup. Apparently, they are now, because results have gone their way in other parts of Europe, they look like being the Nositelji, as they say, the seeded teams in the second and the third playoff round. So that's a positive for the Croatian clubs. Rudeš, of course, they're out. We knew that long time ago. And this is the problem. They don't have the qualification, or they don't have the playoff with the second last team at the moment. Possibly they may in a few years' time, but the thinking there's just not enough depth. And we know, we've seen it. Šibenik go up, they go down. Dragovoljac go up, they go down. In this case, Rudeš
down.
Went down. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So, unfortunately, at the moment, that is a real problem, that Prva Liga, the first division. It's just nowhere near the quality of the Premier League at the moment. Here's an interesting thing. Look at the list of goal scorers. Raymond Mirez from Osijek, 19 goals. Fran Brodić, from Dinamo Zagreb, who scored a lot of his goals for Varaždin, and Duječop, who for Lokomotiva. So they're the top three. Expect the big clubs like Dinamo, Hajduk, maybe even Rijeka to make some big offers to those players. Yeah, they will be really, really sought after, especially Ramon Mirez. If he doesn't go abroad, don't be surprised if some big money, and probably from Dinamo Zagreb, they're the only ones with a lot of money, gets thrown at them. But remember, Nikola Kalinic, who is now the new sports director, or the new football director at Hajduk, he had a press conference yesterday. He said number one priority is they need to get a striker, a number 9, because Livaja is not a number 9, he's a number 10. So they need to get an out-and-out striker. And, of course, Kalinic won't be there next year as a player because he's retired and he's moved on into the boardroom. So lots happening already. The season has just finished, and already there's lots and lots of talk. Now, the most important news, Ante, the most important news about the HNL was this year's Fantasy Football League. The first time this in history, the HNL had a Fantasy Football League. We had our own league here at the OzCro Soccer Show. Yes, Ante shaking his head. So am I, because we didn't do too well. But congratulations to Josip Žilić, my co-commentator from Season 1 from Geelong, taking out the inaugural HNL Fantasy OzCro Soccer League. His team, Tuščica, won with 1,763 points. Second placed, some dude called Rado Prusac. Bugger, he beat me. And that's my brother. Pokraj Norilja, he got 1,563. And look at Mr. Chavar, HNK Kaman Cerno, 1,450 points. Julian Lopac, Dragan Knežević, me in 6th position. Ante Lopac in 7th. Ante Grabovac in 8th. And Domagoj Devunic in 9th position. Congratulations.
Thank you, Domagoj. So I didn't come last.
Josip. Now, unfortunately, Ante, we don't have a prize, and I'm embarrassed by this. But, speaking to Josip Žilić earlier today, we suggested that maybe Karl Živković or someone from Newcastle, Croatia, would be more than happy to send down a Newcastle, Croatia top to our man Josip Žilić. And Josip did actually say he'd even consider becoming a member if that was the case. So, Carl, over to you. If you're tuning in and watching this show, there we go. I'd like to thank my supporters and sponsors, Josip, a legend. And this is from a man who claims didn't really know too much about what was going on in the HNL. And he not only won it, he won it by a country mile, just like Dinamo won it by a country mile. Josip Jilic won the. We'll be back next year, Ante, and I'm determined to do better than a 6th place finish.
Only ways up. And look, Josip Jilic, maybe we can get him some OzCro import stuff, some Rakia or some vino or something like that.
Possibly. All right, moving along now. The BH Liga, there's not much really to talk about there. Bordas has won it, unfortunately, by 2 points, but they already won it, even though they lost that last round. Zrinski finished at a credible 2nd position, but Zrinski did defeat Bordas in the cup final in Banja Luka. So well done to Zrinski. Posuše finished in 5th spot, Široki Brijeg 8th, and Gošk Gabela in 9th. The most important thing about this is that out of the 4 Croatian clubs, no one got relegated. So I think there's still a battle in the Prva Liga to get through to to get promoted. Sloboda Tuzla, I think, are in prime position, and there is a battle now going for 2nd position as well. So well done to the 4 Croatian clubs for staying up. Well done to Zrinski as well for being able to stay to win the cup. Now the Vatreni. Well, let's finish it off with this. The Vatreni, they had their first training session in Rijeka. Only 10 players showed up because not all of them are here at the moment. So they'll be starting to come in dribs and drabs over the next few days and weeks and what you're not. But Perisic, even though he didn't have to, obviously he was probably told to rest himself and make sure that he's in top form. He still turned up. That shows you how dedicated he is to getting his fitness back, to being an integral part of the Croatian team in Germany. So well done to Perisic. He's just a legend. Hopefully he will stay at Hajduk next year. And fingers crossed, a lot of people are hoping that is the case.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. And yeah, just a little bit more. Ante Budimir finished 5th on the Spanish league leaders list with 17 goals. So great effort from 33 matches, which is fantastic. And of course, if you watch the FA Cup final, you would have seen a bit of a calamitous goal. I don't know. Was it Guardiola's fault? Wasn't it his fault? Let us know what you thought. But anyway, unfortunately, Guardiola and Kovacic ended up 2-1 losers to Manchester United. And look at this. On the chat, we've already got a gift from the Gorsbridge Bears to Josip. So, fantastic.
Oh, mate, that's awesome. Thanks, Ivica. I told you, Gorsbridge Bears are absolute legends. And we're going to have to get Ivica on next week or something like that to maybe make a virtual presentation or something like that. Or if we somehow get the two together. Josip's in Geelong, Ivica's in Melbourne. They're pretty close, so we might have to do something like that.
And just before we finish the news, Torch, I don't know if you saw, but 3 million views for Hersel Zagreb doing some Pilates stuff. I don't know if you've seen that. It's actually today, news.com.au, but I've got a fantastic article. Here it is. Sydney soccer players humbled by 3 million views. And it's just about the boys doing their Pilates, and apparently it's doing great wonders. So who knows? Pilates must be the next fantastic, thing to do and to help with your football. So there you go. Do what the Zagreb boys are doing.
It's gone viral, and here we go. Look at that, the article. Pilates instructor and founder of Reform Me, Sammy McDonald, 25, said the boys from Herstal Zagreb are loving their weekly Pilates classes and are noticing the benefits after just 1 month. So they're back for more. So they really kind of, well, it says they got humiliated or whatever, but humbled or whatever the case is. But they're back for more punishment. So they're suckers for punishment. But here's a good point that she does say: soccer players are very heavy on the ankles and their feet with kicking. So I've prioritized ankle stability and support. For example, we do a lot of stuff on their toes where they lift and lower their heels. That's a very, very interesting point. And look, I sort of, this is one of those things that I've spoken to a lot of coaches, and we might speak to Stephen Lustica, who's coming up very, very shortly after this. Do we do enough preparation as far as strength and conditioning and other things, not just simply training football drills and skills? And I know speed, agility, and quickness is a big thing that Luke Jurcevic, who's in Perth and sometimes tunes into this show, was a big advocate of it, and he was utilised it a lot in his days when he was coaching Sydney United youth squads and things like that. But just how important that strength and conditioning and work on your agility, work on flexibility, and things like Pilates, yoga, all of those other things.
Well,
but
a lot of professional clubs have got dedicated Pilates rooms now and things like that. So it's really gaining traction.
But what was it? How many views did you say? 3 million?
3 million, yeah.
Now, mate, if they cannot attract a major sponsor, a huge sponsor, but on the back of that, maybe they might have some Pilates studios or franchises. I don't know. But anyway, contact the boys from Zagreb, Hurstville. I'm sure that they will be more than happy to accept some big sponsorship dollars, that's for sure.
Now, that'll go viral. Me and Taunchy doing Pilates, let me tell you.
Yeah, actually not a bad idea. I know my wife does, and she swears by it. She does it every week, so maybe she might not be happy me encroaching on her territory. But anyway, she swears by it, so maybe there is something in
the first was Zagreb, so there you go.
All right. Okay, we're going to take a very short break. When we return, it's time for our first guest for tonight, a man who I'm sure does a lot of Pilates in his spare time, Stephen Lustica from Western United. Folks, don't go away. It is the OzCro Soccer Show.
OzCro Imports brings you the finest taste of Croatian beer, spirits and wine. Let your taste buds feel the years of nurtured produce and years of experience in producing some of the best beer and wines from Croatia. Established over 10 years ago and importing various wines, spirits and beers from Croatia, we stock the following products: Osječko pivo, Staro Češko and Velebitsko beers, all naturally crafted brews. We carry a wide range of shortcut spirits, which is renowned for top quality and has won numerous awards for its traditionally produced spirits. Some of these include Šljiva, Viljamovka, Kajsije, Višnja, Orahovac and Medovača. We also have wines ranging from the Ilok region in Slavonia, Belje wines from the Danube region, Malvazija from Istra, and the Palihnic branded Plavac Mali and Poship wines from the Dalmatian coast. Our mission is simple: to ensure that quality, unique and reasonably priced Croatian goods can be enjoyed right here in Australia. We also cater for special gift packs for customers, be they birthdays, christenings, weddings, etc. It's easy to order online, or you can telephone us to arrange a special package. Visit our website at www.ozcro.com.au, like our Facebook page OzCro Imports, or you can contact us by calling 0419 44 55 18 or email sales@ozcro.com.au.
Welcome back to the OzCro Soccer Show, Ante. It's an absolute pleasure now to welcome to the show our first guest for tonight. He's a Western United star midfielder. He's also got his own private academy down in Melbourne, the Lustica Football, and he knows a lot about youth pathways in this country, having gone himself through that. And he's going to talk to us about a lot of topics tonight. But we're going to start by, first of all, welcoming Stephen Lustica to the program. How are you, Stephen?
Hey, Taunchy. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Very good, very good. Now, thanks for joining us on the program. But first of all, do you do Pilates or yoga or anything like that? It's a serious question here. Do you do any of those type of programs either pre-season or during the season, for strength, conditioning, agility, and that sort of stuff?
Of course, yeah. I've got a Pilates reformer just upstairs in my spare bedroom. So Pilates has become, especially as I've gotten older, has become a big part of my training routine. So definitely big believer and big advocate for Pilates.
There you go. I'm a convert. I'm going to sign up first thing tomorrow. I'll tell you what.
This social Zagreb thing is catching on. Stephen, tell me something, like, before we talk about anything else. I was at your debut match for Hajduk Split. You actually came on the field against Barcelona with Mladen Grdović singing, all that sort of stuff. Tell me, how was that? That was the 100th anniversary of Hajduk, and actually making a debut in that match, that must have been something special.
Yeah, so I can't believe you were there, Ante. I mean, I know there was a lot of Australian fans there, but for me, that was obviously a dream come true. I'd signed a couple months before that signed a 4-year contract with Hajduk, and yeah, to make my debut against Barcelona, 100th year celebration of the club, and to play against Barcelona and just to play at Pulled, for me was a dream come true. And to this day, it's something that I still get goosebumps when I think about it.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was 0-0 for those of you who don't know the result. It was a great match, though, and it was more of a celebration. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Stephen, how old were you when
I just turned 20. Just 20.
Yeah, I mean, so young, a young guy, wide-eyed, living out his dreams on the other side of the world. What tactics did you use to actually ground yourself, during the game, so you didn't get overawed by the occasion? You were able to focus on the job at hand. What did you keep telling yourself, or did you have any tactics to sort of really kind of calm yourself down, I suppose?
Not really, Taunchy, to be honest. I mean, it was obviously my first game for Hajduk, official game, let's say. Obviously, we did a full preseason, so I'd already played some games before that. I'd already made my debut in the A-League, but you can't compare. I mean, you can't compare the two. I mean, to play in front of a packed Pulled stadium with the fans there is, it's on another level. I mean, the demands of the fans there, the club, the history there. I mean, for me, obviously, of course, your first game, you're nervous, of course, but once you're on the field, it's it's all sort of normal and that. But I didn't have an easy job. I had to mark Iniesta for 30, 40 minutes, whatever I played in that game. So it wasn't the easiest of games, but it was a friendly game, but there's never a friendly game. So of course, it was a high pressure game as well.
It's a very special occasion, absolutely.
Now, actually, when you just mentioned the friendly games, there's no such thing as a friendly games. During the week, it reminds me, Auntie, of something that Optus Sport did on the FRANJIC Cup. And who was it? Someone was it Paul Ivancic?
Mark Ivancic.
Mark Ivancic from Sydney United said it's a bit of a weird thing because there is no such thing as a friendship when you're on the field. And I guess that's one of those things. When you're on the field, you have to block everything out and you have to really focus on the job at hand. And that's that mental toughness, isn't it? That's one of those things that you really, really have to develop when you go to Europe, isn't it, Stephen? Apart from obviously your football skills per se.
Of course. I mean, the mental side is so important. I mean, players that aren't resilient, the players that can't deal with setbacks, that can't deal with the hard times, it's very hard to keep pushing on because it's easy. It's easy to play for. I always say it's easy to perform. It's easy to perform when things are going well, yeah. But it's when you're hit with adversity. It's when the coach isn't playing you. When you're not selected in a team, the players that can get through that are the ones that can really, that have a chance, yeah. Because there's no guarantees, yeah. You can do all the things leading up, make sure you're professional, you train, you perform at a top level, yeah. That might give you a chance to get to reach that level, yeah. But there's only a very small percentage of players that actually become professional. And yeah, it's okay. You might get a contract for a year or 2 or 3, but it's actually sustaining that for 15, 20 years. So like I always say, the players that can really deal with that side of things are the ones that can progress and actually have a proper career in the game.
Yeah, tell us, Stephen, obviously you spent a couple of seasons there at Hajduk. What is the difference between Croatian and Australian football? Obviously, you've played in Australia for quite a long time at A-League level. So, what are the differences that you've seen?
Yeah, look, it's another world over there. We struggle to produce players at the moment here in Australia. And the thing is, we have everything available to us here. We've got all the academies, we've got all the facilities, we've got all the resources, we have everything here, but we're still struggling to produce players. And it's worrying because when you compare it to what they have over there, they've got a lot less than we have here, and they're constantly producing world-class players. And we're talking about world-class. We're not talking about just middle-tier players. We're talking about players that are the best players in the world. So when you actually look at and break down what the reasons are behind that, it's worrying here. Like I said, we have everything available to us. I mean, if the pitch on the weekend is a little bit, bobbly or whatever, straight away players are complaining. Over there, I mean, the difference is there. they live and breathe that. It's life. It's the players over there from a very young age, from 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they're already training in a professional environment. Most of them. Yeah. Okay, they start obviously in the streets and that, but once they're in a club environment, they're training with 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds. They're training twice a day, every day. Whereas here, we have academies here or clubs that train twice a week, and then they don't allow other players to train any other days because they don't want to overload the kids. And we're talking about 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids, twice a week training, and they're saying that's too much. That's just enough, two days a week.
Yeah.
So, the kids over there, the players over there, they're miles ahead of the players here already. They're 5, 6 years ahead. And then we're just playing catch up here. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that I see myself that need to improve here.
Yeah. Now, mate, you run your own youth academy, or Lustica Football, as it's called, and we've got a little bit of footage there in the background that we're going to play in a second. But you obviously see a lot of talented players. You see a lot of mediocre players, and you see everything in between as well. But I guess one of the things here in Australia that's a common argument is that there just doesn't seem to be a pathway. Now, if we look at it from the Australian-Croatian perspective, once upon a time, every Australian-Croatian kid wanted to play for Sydney, Croatia, or Melbourne, Croatia in the NSL. Nowadays, it doesn't seem to be the case, and there seems to be a real lack of opportunity for a lot of young players getting through even to the A-League. Do you? I mean, you're at Western United, and we do see from time to time some young players coming through, but by and large, there's that funnel of only 9 clubs, 10 clubs that they can go to. Not that many opportunities to become professional. Do you think a lot of these players just lose direction, lose interest, or lose, I don't know, desire?
Yeah, look, I think that's been a problem maybe the last. If you look at the last 10 years, there has been limited opportunities for youngsters. But now, if I really look deeply and assess now the last maybe year or two in the A-League, there's never been more opportunities at the moment for young players. Yeah, and that's not by planning or by clubs now saying, no, we're going the direction of playing youngsters. That's because money's dried up and they're forced now to play youngsters, So that's not a credit to the clubs. I think that's just a lack of, understanding what's required. And now clubs are forced to be playing youngsters now because I see it like at our club and other clubs. There's a lot of young players coming through, and a lot of them probably aren't ready to play yet. So at the moment, I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for youngsters. Yeah, but like I said, I don't think that's down to the structures or whatever's in place. I think that's just down to clubs are forced to go down that route at the moment because at the moment, the league's in a big problem in terms of finances. So, clubs like Melbourne City, they don't play youngsters because they have the finances there to sign players. But other clubs that are struggling at the moment, they're obviously going down that route because they've got no other option. But if they had the option and they had the finances there, I doubt there'll be many youngsters playing.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Do you think the B-League will help with that if it does come to fruition, Stephen?
Yeah, look, the B-League will help, but I mean, what's the point of the B-League? I mean, there's no promotion relegation, so why are clubs entering the B-League? Okay, yeah, you might have, there's obviously more games. Yeah, young players might have more opportunities to play, against better opposition. But I mean, the way I look at it is just like the NPL. I mean, the whole point of the B-League should be to get promoted, yeah, and promotion relegation, but I can't really see the benefits of the B-League if that's not going to be the case. So I don't see why clubs would spend that money to go in the B-League for what? I mean, you win the league and what? You stay there. Who's going to benefit there?
Yeah.
So
promote the relegation. You're right.
Concept sounds great. Yeah, B-League. Yeah, but I mean, I can't see promotion relegation ever happening here. I mean, they talk about it, but I can't see clubs, A-League clubs are paying in 20 million for a license fee. B-League, I don't know, might be 500, $500,000, $1 million. Then one gets promoted, one gets relegated. How's it going to work? I can't see it working.
There's such a real obstacle, I guess, to promotion relegation. The whole concept in this country. I mean, this is a completely different story. But down in Geelong, there are 3 AFL local leagues. And they were talking about merging them and having Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 promotion relegation. Oh my gosh, there was that much hullabaloo about it that you would not believe it. There's so much objection to it. No, they can't have it. They don't want it. So it's a real it's an Australian thing, isn't it? Anti-promotion relegation. But yeah, we saw on the weekend in England, there's more people, 85,000 compared to for the promotion relegation battle there at Wembley, as opposed to 84,000 for the FA Cup. It's just, once it happens, if it ever happens, and you're right, Steve, who knows if it will happen, Australia won't know what's hit it. It'll be the most amazing thing ever. But, I'm not going to hold my breath, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Stephen, a couple of years ago, you played in the grand final for Western United. Tell us what's been going on at Western United.
Yeah, look, what was it, 2 years ago we won the final, and that was obviously, this is the fifth season now the club's been around, and yeah, I mean, in 5 years to have a grand final is pretty good. I mean, especially the way the A-League structure now, it's a salary cap league, so you see yourselves when you watch it, it's very close. Yeah, you don't know who's going to beat who. So, obviously, like I said, there's obviously now, like I said, a lot of opportunities for young players now, the way the league's going as well. So, that's great for the young players coming through, because I remember when I was that age, it was very hard to break through. I mean, and we're talking about young players. Yeah, we're not talking about like back in the NSL days where you're 16, 17, 18 playing. Yeah, we're talking about young players these days at 21, 22, 23, they're considered young. I mean, for me, that's, 20, 21, yeah, you're young, but, you're not, you should close to 100 games already if you're talking about, progressing to the next level. Mm-hmm. So I still think we're far away from, producing those players that we did in the past.
Yeah. So are you on the holidays at the moment, or when do you come back for pre-season? Because I think you've got a cup match happening very shortly, isn't it, next month?
It's off-season now, Taunton, yeah. So now at the moment, just
there we go.
Downtime, I'm obviously busy with a bit of coaching through my academy and that. But, yeah, look, just taking it easy, trying to make sure my wife doesn't yell at me too much. So we can get away to Croatia this year would be great for a little holiday. We get away every year. So there we go.
Now, tell us about one of your teammates, Noah Botic, another Croatian boy, and he's had some really good form that's been sort of up and down, hasn't it? Unfortunately, got injured this year.
Yeah, Noah's another one that is coming to the scene, and he's done well in games and scored some goals. I think he obviously had a bit of an injury this season. So, yeah, I think he's recovering from that. And another, young player that's obviously, is being given a lot of, trust and opportunities as well. And now it's, like I said, these young boys, they've been given these opportunities. Now it's about them taking it, because, I remember, I can't remember when I was that age, 18, 19, 20, I was never considered young throughout my career when I look back. I can't remember anyone saying, he's young, he's going to take time. No, I think it's changed a lot now. These boys have big opportunities, so even they have a bad performance or 2 or 3 or 4, there's not real consequences now, so they're in the team, they're playing, they're able to make mistakes, and, it's not like before where one bad game, you're out of the team. I mean, so it is a bit unrealistic for some of them at the moment, the way I look at it. But again, it's a great opportunity for them to, to take it to the next level.
And do you think the club will be better off now that you've got a base rather than moving from Geelong to, you travelled around a lot, didn't you?
Tasmania.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we got your own base, your own facilities. Of course, it helps a lot. I mean, we're playing games all over Australia: Geelong, Ballarat, Tasmania, Amy Park. So obviously, when you got your own base, it is, of course, it's much easier.
Yeah. Now, mate, we saw snippets of your training academy. Now, you've got some big names there. You've got some huge names that you've called on to be part of the squad there. You've got Josip Lončarić, who's very, very well known to viewers of the OzCro Soccer Show. He's an NPLW coach. Steven Ugarkovic as well, who's with Melbourne City, another A-League player. He's also there. And then we've got a couple of A-League women's players, Alana Chevna and Grace Marr as well. You've got a fantastic array of talent there in the coaching side of things as well. And your program's going great guns. I had the privilege of going down there to Melbourne last week and catching some footage as well. What are your plans with that? Are you looking at expanding it, or are you just looking at kind of working quality over quantity? Well, with regards to some of the players you've got, tell us a bit more about Lustica Football.
Yeah, look, I'm just giving, the players an environment, like a professional environment, so they can slowly, see what's required to reach those levels. I mean, I've got, players from 5 years old to 25 years or 20 years old. I've got all different types of and different ages that I work with. I mean, so it's just giving them the best environment, really, that, especially with the younger ones as well. I mean, obviously with different age groups, you work on different things, but especially with the younger ones, I mean, it's about actually demonstrating and showing them yourselves, technically how to do certain things, how to receive the ball, how to pass the ball, how to do different skills, how to control the ball, how to juggle the ball. There's so many different elements to the game that they have to learn. And, in their club environments, a lot of them aren't being taught how to do it correctly. And that's nobody's fault, but that's just the reality of the way it is, not just here in Melbourne, but everywhere around Australia. So, I really believe, especially with the young players, and I'm talking about young, the 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, you need coaches that can actually demonstrate to them, okay, no, this is how you do it. Because one thing that I've learned is, these young players look at the coaches as role models. Yeah. So if you show them how to do something properly with intensity and correctly, they look at you like, okay, I'm going to go try practice that at home all week till I correct it, till I get it perfect. So I think it really is important for coaches, especially dealing with the young players, is to actually they have to have the capabilities of actually showing the kids themselves with the ball, because we're talking about the ball. Yeah. All you need is the ball for them. Yeah. Nothing else. Yeah. So it's all the drills that I do with the young boys is with the ball and teaching them correctly how to do it.
Yeah. Well, if you certainly want your kid to get really good expert tuition, and you are down in Melbourne or around the Melbourne area, look up Lustica Football. I've just posted the link there. There's a Facebook page, Lustica Football. Get in touch with Steve via private message, and he'll certainly look after you. But one of your pupils, and certainly one of the most talented young kids at the moment in the under 14, under 15 category, if you like, who's also been part of the Croatian-Australian select team that's gone to Vukovar over the last 2 years, is a youngster by the name of Jordan Vonja. And he's over at Hajduk Split at the moment, and this is what the Croatian press has reported. Lustica doveo Vonju, otišao da se vrati, novi Australac na Poljudu, talking about young Jordi Vonja. He's a very, very talented young kid, plays for, I think, Western United in the junior NPL. Tell us a bit more about this young kid, and he's obviously over at Hajduk. How's he doing? Have you been heard from him since he's been over there with the Hajduk Junior?
Yeah. No, he went over. He's back now in Melbourne. He's obviously at Western United under 15s. But look, Jordy's a very talented young player. I mean, he came to me when he was 9 years old. He's 14 now. So I've had the privilege of working with him for a number of years now, and yeah, look, Jordy's obviously he's talented. Yeah, you wouldn't have to watch him too long to notice that he's a talented player, and he's a player that loves the game. I mean, ever since I've known him, he's just always with the ball at his feet, and he's one that he comes and trains and that. But he's one, I always say, it's great to come for a session once a week or whatever that is with me. But if you don't go on your own at home and all week, you have to work on yourself. You have to be motivated yourself. Like when I grew up, all I needed was a ball and a wall. That's all. I didn't need anything else. Yeah. And all the work that I did was on my own. Yeah. And that's the best way to learn. It's great. Yeah. You have coaches now that can correct things and show them the correct way and that, but it's down to the player himself wanting to improve and in their own time. Yeah. Okay. You got your training during the week with your clubs, but all the work's done when people aren't watching, and Jordy's one of those players that loves football and breathes football, and I'm excited to see how far young Jordy can go, because he's got a lot of talent.
Yeah, that's the passion you want. And do you have many girls coming down to your academy as well?
Yeah, I do. I've got a girls program that's on a Monday night, so we got a fair few girls as well. So from all ages, from 5-6-year-olds to 14-year-olds. So yeah, we got a good girls program running at the moment. We've got some good coaches involved in that as well. So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Stephen, we're going to have to leave it there. We've still got to catch up with Melbourne Knights coach Ivan FRANJIC. He'll be on very, very shortly. But thanks for taking the time out and talking general chit-chat about football. Wishing you all the best with your academy and also at Western United. Once again, thanks for coming on the OzCro Soccer Show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. Thank you, Stephen.
Stephen Lustica. Geez, we could talk for hours, and there's so much more we wanted to get through, and we didn't get a chance. So we might have to get Stephen on the program again very, very shortly. Folks, we're going to take a very short break. When we return, we'll be talking to the Melbourne Knights newly appointed coach. He's also the junior technical director down at Summer Street. And he is Ivan FRANJIC. Will be speaking to him straight after this break. Folks, don't go away. Welcome back to the OzCro Soccer Show. It's now time for our next guest tonight, and it is an absolute pleasure to welcome. He's the recently appointed head coach of the Melbourne Knights Football Club, and he's got some big shoes to fill, but he's also doing it as a player, but also as a coach. And it's an absolute pleasure to welcome Ante to our show tonight. Ivan FRANJIC, all the way from Melbourne. Ivan, how are you?
I'm good, and yourself, guys?
Yeah, very good. First of all, congratulations on the appointment. If ever there was a club man who's going to, I guess, rescue the Knights out of their little bit of a doldrum at the moment, it's definitely you. But when we say that, look, there's been a few injuries and the player departures, things like that. Something you always find you have to contend with. But coming in midway through the season makes it probably a little bit harder than usual.
No, it is. Obviously, every coach has their own philosophy, and coming mid-season, it wasn't something I expected this year. But the beauty of football, you don't know what's around the corner. So yeah, it's always difficult, but it's very important when you come in as a coach. You set the foundations, the structure, and create the right culture. And sometimes that takes time, but it's something towards the end of the season you got time to do, and hopefully moving next season as well, you can bring that winning culture back to the club.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and obviously you've actually yourself, been under some amazing coaches. What are some of the main things you've learned from the different coaches? And obviously your time in Brisbane, you were under one very famous coach who's doing great things at the moment as well, weren't you?
No, exactly. I'm blessed to have a lot of good coaches through my career. I'm very lucky with that. And, obviously you do remember a lot of things you do with those coaches. So to have so many good coaches, I try to take a bit of everything and put it all together and create my own philosophy.
Yeah. Well, Ange Postecoglou, the coach in question, he was down in Melbourne recently for the Tottenham games. Did you have a chance to catch up with Ange?
No, I didn't. I was too busy at nights.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the Knights, let's talk about the Knights. So we'll bring the we already went through this, I guess, in the news section, but there's the ladder as well, so we can see the situation at the moment. So a game last week, it was a tough game against Port Melbourne. They're always a tough team, especially at Anderson Reserve, 2-0 result. But this week coming up against Avondale at Avenger Park, and who can forget the the semi-finals last year at Avenger Park? Beautiful day, massive crowd. Unfortunately, Avondale had to come up with the goods. Is this a bit of a revenge match against them?
I think always when you go to the next year, like some people would say it's revenge, but at the end of the day, just focus on week by week who you're playing.
Yeah. Yep.
The culture I want to bring in is no matter where we go, we're playing for 3 points. And I think it's important that players start, believing in it and believing what you're doing. And once you have that strong mentality and winning mentality, you can go to these places and pick up 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely right, Ivan. That's totally correct. And just on the Knights, that cup run that you had last year as well that you were part of. I mean, and obviously you hit the top 6 for the first time in quite a number of years. How was that season for the Knights? And obviously you're trying to replicate that this year, right?
No, exactly. It's always hard when, you make a top 6 to follow up in a year when there's a few changes. But, it is what it is. It's no excuses. At the end of the day, we're not there this year. I think we're a long way from 6 now. So we're going to try to obviously week by week. It's a week by week process now. You can't look 6, 7, 8 weeks in advance. You have to just win your game on the weekend and let the rest take care of itself. It's not in our hands anymore. But I'm sure if we can win from now to the end of the season, we can get close there or even in there and then give it a real shake-up.
Yeah, but I guess there's still 11 games left before the final series, and as we saw there, it's what 8 points away, or more than that. It's 7 plus 4. It's 11 points away from it. So look, it's just a case of getting a good run, and then that'll happen. But if you sort of mentioned that it's out of our hands now. Does that mean sort of now you've taken over, one eye is already looking towards next season and you're already now going to sort of cast your eye around the competition, who's available, what are some of the juniors, remembering that the national second division still may or may not happen next year. But is that now you've got kind of that one eye now on the future?
Of course, you always got the eye on the future. I think where people get it wrong in this country, wait too late to do things.
Yeah.
So, it's important you're always looking for the future, no matter what round, what thing is. If someone can strengthen your squad or a young boy is good enough to step up, it's important to bring him into your squad if it's possible and the time's right. Where I think usually people get stuck in the way, wait to the end of the season.
Yeah.
If the season comes, there's already maybe 4 or 5 clubs ahead of you that have taken these players.
Yeah, what a good point that is, actually.
And what's so good about South Melbourne this season? Why are they up the top? Have they got a good squad? Have they got a good coach? What's going on with them?
Oh, look, obviously they've got a structure. We know how they play. The long ball, long throw-ins, that's where they get most of their goals. Obviously, they've recruited the big boys for these long throw-ins. So it's something, when you get the chances against them early, you have to put them away. And unfortunately, we didn't. We had a penalty miss, which happens, and a couple good chances. But that's football. But I know going forward, we'll get there. We've been working a lot on our execution, and hopefully over the next few weeks, we really start bringing the goals and getting the points.
Yeah, well, it's a big game on Saturday against Avondale at Avenger Park at 3 p.m. there. The Dynamo, the sister club, they came up against them last week, lost 2-1 at Avenger Park, but gave them a good shake for their money. So they probably softened them up, and now it'll be time for you guys to come in and go for the kill. And wouldn't it be funny? It was Zoran Markovsky, who's the Avondale coach, ex-Melbourne Knights player. I'm sure it would be fun to see him on the losing side for once. But you've got a lot on your plate, Ivan. You're also the club's technical director as well, the juniors technical director. And later this year, in early October to be precise, the Knights are going to run or host a new tournament that we hope is going to be one of the big post-season tournaments for juniors. Tell us more about the Knights Championship Cup.
No, definitely. Obviously, coming into NPL role, I like to observe a lot and, look into the future. And you look at these NPL players, I don't think they get a lot of that tournament structure, knowing how to win. Because for me, cup competition and a league competition are totally different. So you have to play a different style, and these are shorter halves. So I think it's important players learn how to win on shorter halves and, learn how to manage the games.
Yeah, there's some information from the Knights website, and for clubs that want to register, they can go there and register. The aim is to have 4 groups, is that right? 4 groups of 4, that would be the ideal scenario, so 16 per age group?
Yeah, we want 16 clubs for them to send 4 age groups, 14s, 15s, 16 and 18s.
Yeah. How are registrations going at the moment? Have we got all the Croatian clubs in Victoria signed and registered yet?
We got most that have agreed, and we've got one interstate club coming as well at the moment. So eventually,
wow! So even it's not just confined to Victoria, is that right?
No, it's confined to all of Australia. Obviously, we've just called a few clubs this year because I think the first year is important to get it up and running, and important to invest to make it good for years to come, and that's the plan. It's not just, let them register and it's whatever. We want to make it a special tournament for our kids.
Well, there you go, Ante. I think the Croatian tournament is the week before at St Albans, and so we can have these clubs from Adelaide, Croatia, Canberra, Croatia, O'Connor Knights, Sydney, Croatia, all coming down and staying a whole week in Melbourne, and they can first of all take in the seniors tournament, and then the Knights tournament a week after. That's actually good timing, isn't it, Ivan?
No, it is. And it's just a great competition for kids. I remember when I was a kid on school holidays, all you want to do is play football and play for tournaments. You want to try to bring that medal to your collection.
Yeah.
That'd be absolutely awesome. Great idea, great initiative by the Knights as well. It's good to see these initiatives. Other clubs also doing, girls tournaments, all these sorts of things. I mean, football is really expanding and getting really popular at different levels. However, not at the top level, unfortunately. Ivan, what's the biggest challenges that you see, like where you are now with the Victorian Premier League as opposed to when you were as a professional? What's the difference? Is there a difference in types of the players, or in terms of obviously full-time professionalism versus semi-professionalism? But what are the other differences that you see, because you have traveled the world and played football everywhere, right?
No, exactly. I think we're talking about seniors now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I'll start with when I played VPL last time to NPL now, the same competition. You never had these salary cap points. So if you're good enough as a young player, you get the opportunity to be around experienced players. Where now we're trying to force these young players to play under the salary cap points, but has it really worked over the last few years?
That's a great point.
That's a really good point. That's actually a very good point. Yeah.
Where if you've got a squad of experienced players, you feel coaches generally feel it's safe to chuck a couple of young players in because there's a lot of experience around it. But when you've got a few experienced players and the rest are young, they probably don't want to give that younger kid a shot, feeling that there's too much inexperience out there already. So are the salary cap points really needed? I don't believe so, because I think good players will find their way through anyway to senior level.
Yeah. What about, Ivan, what about from your point of view with regards to Australian Croatian kids now? Like once upon a time you went through the, where you wanted to play for the seniors at Melbourne, Croatia, and then you become a professional footballer. Have we, because there is no NSL, because there is no National Second Division at the moment, the limit for a lot of these clubs is NPL, sort of statewide. Do you think that motivation, do you think that lack of like a direct pathway has hindered the ambitions of a lot of young Australian Croatian footballers?
It's probably made it a lot harder, because I do go watch NPL juniors every week, and there's Crow kids at every other club but Crow clubs.
Yeah.
And they're very good players, and that's obviously a bit sad. We're back in the day when we were NSL, we were the top. Everyone came from every part of Melbourne Knights, and obviously South Melbourne and these teams that were in the top division. And obviously now with our juniors, obviously you got this Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. People want to be playing Division 1. And unfortunately, the Croatian teams, I think Geelong are the only ones that have been there, haven't been in there recently. And we have suffered with our players going elsewhere, but also to the players as well. How bad do they want it? I think in Australia, as kids, we're very spoiled. If we want a PlayStation, we've got it. Whatever we want a new bike, we've got it. And I think at times, if kids don't get their way, parents actually help them instead of going, no, you need to go work harder to actually get into the starting 11, or you need to work harder, and fight for your position.
Yeah, they give up.
This is a really good point, and we're trying to solve the problems of the world here. But Ivan, in your eyes, you're the junior technical director. You're the senior coach now. Obviously, you've walked that walk and talked that talk. In your eyes, how can we change that? Because we're now talking about a behavioural kind of an issue. How do we change that? Do we find almost like the best of the best in, say, Victoria, of young kids, maybe Australian Croatian kids, and almost have a semi-academy type setup where they're really taught not just the technical side of it, but also the mental side of things? How do we change that so that we start to have more Ivan FRANJICs and Steven Lusticas, who's coming on the show later on, playing in the A-League and playing at the highest level in this country?
I think that's a hard question, but what you're saying is maybe right in terms of, trying to get the best talent in our academy.
Mm-hmm.
But, it is hard for people as well when they're paying over $2,000 in fees. They should be given a go as well. And is it right or wrong? They're probably right most of the time, but at the end of the day, I think you need a scholarship program where you can start setting high standards where people aren't paying much, and coaches can actually go, it's my way or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
But until kids get these reality checks, it's very hard to produce players.
Mm. And Ivan, you must be proud that the under-18s are actually they qualified for Division 1, right?
No, they did. They did.
And how are they going so far?
They're going well. They obviously got a win, a couple of losses. Obviously it's new for the club to be in Division 1. But if things are a process and things aren't done overnight, it takes 4 or 5 years sometimes. Sometimes you have to go back to your minis and start from there and try to start producing players. Yeah.
Now, this year, for the first year, the reserve team has gone from an under-21 setup to an under-23 setup. So you've got this big gap from under-18s through to under-23s and then seniors. Now, in your eyes, is that a good thing? Is it pushing more younger players further up the tree at a younger age? And is that bridging the gap between junior football and senior football, or has Football Victoria got it wrong?
I don't think. Look, under-23s, I think, is a good competition, but I find that it's too big of a gap from 18s to 23. So maybe we need to go now 17s to 19s or 17s to 20s to have that bit of a bridging gap for some players.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think our average age of 18.3 now under 20 for the future.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, Anta, doesn't it? Like, if you're going, say, 17s, then 19s, or 17s and 20s and 23s, you're almost kind of going the path of the young Socceroos, the Olyroos, the senior Socceroos. So it's almost like following that pathway. That, Ivan, I reckon you're onto something. It makes a lot of sense what you're saying.
No, it does. You need something after 18s. 18s to 23s is a big jump. If you've got 22-year-olds playing or 21-year-olds, it becomes a big jump for the kids if they're still 18 going on to 19 during the year. But if you go 18s, 20s, 17, 19, just that one more gap in between where kids can really develop. Because as we know, a lot of people develop at a lot later age.
Yeah.
Develops at 16, 17, 18. Some develop at 20, 21, start playing. And I think players get lost through that system as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think a lot of players lose interest if they don't make it at that level or at that particular time frame. Plus, you've got other, obviously, distractions like HSC and all the other things that come with it as well. So, yeah, we do tend to lose a lot of kids at that particular point in time, don't we?
No, we do. They drop to the lower leagues and, they've gone from playing NPL to state league, dropping a training a week. There needs to be a better system for these kids.
Yeah. Now, one of the things we often hear about football in this country is that we don't have enough of good facilities. Now, at the Knights, it's an iconic venue, Knights Stadium there at Summer Street, but it's going to get even better now because there's a lot of off the field capital works in the pipeline. Some of it has been completed, and others is about to be done. And just recently, there was a rather large fundraiser that your mum, Sonia, was involved. A Night to Remember was to raise funds for that. So talk to us a bit about the capital works, some of the ground improvements that are happening at Knights Stadium, and then we'll talk about the Nights to Remember.
Yeah, obviously they've redone both pitches, put drainage, sprinklers, put new fence around both of them. So you drive into Knights, it's a bit of a different field. You don't have that those old fences there. The old benches, the ground's looking like dirt. So it's become a big improvement. Just recently, they started redoing every corporate box.
Oh, well.
They just stripped them all off, so they're going to be finished up in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks before our next home game. So it's Knights going under big renovations, and it's only going to get better and better every year.
Excellent. Well, let's now talk about the Night to Remember. So we've got some visuals there of the Night to Remember. By all accounts, it was an awesome night, a spectacular night. And your mum and Jasna Pavlovic, I believe, was involved in organising this.
No, they were. It was a very beautiful night. The whole senior team went down. There were a lot of people there, and I think both women done an amazing job.
There we can see some very familiar faces from past and present and future as well. Some of the players there, and there's Shima Pincic on the right-hand side, the president of the Knights as well. All in all, a very good night, and it seemed to attract a lot of sponsors, a lot of supporters as well. So it's great to see. And look, from now until the end of the year, it's all about just taking it 1 week at a time, isn't it? And just trying to get back on the winning on the winner's horse, so to speak.
No, definitely. Obviously, you want to win every week, but for me, most important thing is setting the foundations right so everyone knows what the culture is going to be going forward.
Yeah, Ivan, just a quick one. Obviously, we saw a fantastic A-League Grand Final on the weekend, and you played in one of the most famous A-League Grand Finals, which was Brisbane versus Central Coast. Are you a fan of the Grand Final system, or do you prefer first past the post? As a coach, what do you prefer?
I think, look, first past the post is always your true winner for the season. It's, you play everyone home and away, and that's where you are. But grand final, I think most years it always is 1v2. I think this year was 1v3 in the A-League, and very rarely, you have anyone from 3 to 6 get there. But it's whoever rocks up on the day, you get a red card or something,
Yeah.
it'd be over for you. So I think for me, it's first past the post, but we have to be realistic. We live in Australia, and all the fans come out for finals.
Yeah,
and it is special, isn't it?
We don't have the promotion relegation playoffs. I just see this they're all over Europe at the moment. They're unbelievable. There's some of those games are just incredible. Maybe one day we'll get that here in Australia. But in the meantime, I guess the grand final system, I suppose, is here to stay.
100%.
Yeah. Ivan, thank you very, very much for joining us, and all the very best for the rest of the season, and indeed the Knights Championship Cup later in the year. And lots happening at the Melbourne Knights, both on and off the field. Great to see.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you, Ivan.
Good on you. Ivan FRANJIC joining us tonight on the OzCro Soccer Show. Welcome back, and that was pre-recorded. Obviously, you could see by the daylight in Ivan's car, he wasn't coming to us from Western Australia or anything like that. Obviously, for availability, we needed to pre-record. And so that brings us to the end of yet another episode. What a bumper episode it was tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic to speak to Stephen Lustica and, of course, Ivan FRANJIC. And, there's football going on right at this very minute. And at the moment, Sydney Olympic are down. So Sydney United, at the moment, in extra time, Spirit are leading Sydney Olympic. So we could be heading up to play Spirit because we will be away. And Western Knights have hit the lead after 14 minutes against Olympic Kingsway in their Australia Cup battle. So let's hope that they hang on for that victory.
Absolutely. On that note, thank you very much for joining us here on the OzCro Soccer Show. Big shout out to Gorspic Bears and Ivica Petrlic, who has offered a Gorspic Bears Guernsey to Josip Zilic, the winner of our inaugural HNL Fantasy League. So on that very, very positive note, we bid you all a good night, and we look forward to your company next Tuesday night at 8 p.m.
We're going to the Pilates studio right now, right, Taunchi?
That's the one. See you in the Pilates. I couldn't watch.